Hello, everybody. David Shuster here. Donald Trump's top White House economic advisor just made the case that his title should actually be American Consumer Misery Enabler. Kevin Hassett appeared on Fox Business News, spoke about the U.S. economy, and gleefully boasted that Americans are spending more on their credit cards.
I had the head of one of the big five banks in my office yesterday going through the credit card data, and just as Secretary Bessent said, credit card spending is through the roof. They're spending more on gasoline, but they're spending more on everything else too. And so in terms of the jobs picture for the rest of the year, it's really hard to see having the unemployment rate go up, for example.
So the unemployment rate may not go up because of all the spending in the U.S. economy. But that spending is money Americans don't have. They are borrowing the funds and going deeper into credit card debt. And that's because gas prices are soaring, food prices are rising, and inflation keeps going higher. None of that is good news, at least for most Americans. And the Trump economic team is now getting shredded. Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren, the Trump administration is raising your costs and celebrating it on live TV. Senator Chris Van Hollen, remember, Trump promised to bring down prices on day one. He's now sending his top economic advisor out to try and convince the American people that it's a good thing that they are paying more for everything. They haven't got a clue. A Tennessee holler, bro, does he think this is a good thing? This is so wild we are being led by out-of-touch imbeciles. Journalist Catherine Watson, quite the economic pitch in a midterm election year. Relatedly, the message from several Republican congressional candidates is that people who are struggling are going deeper into debt, well, they only have themselves to blame and they should be more responsible.
I think right now, at least just kind of keeping a stiff upper lip. Maybe you take one less trip to Starbucks and so that gas goes a little further until this thing is over and these gas prices come back down again. Let's just try to be patriots about this.
And people living in poverty are just not very, they're not very experienced at navigating the real world. You literally have to teach people how to budget.
You have so many proteins to choose from, and all commodities go through peaks and valleys. It is a global market.
It is a global market, and there are so many proteins to choose from. Because, you don't need to eat beef or chicken. Just cook up some legumes, beans, and lentils instead. I know, your kids really like hamburgers, but they will eventually get used to chickpeas. And as far as the overall economy, Republicans insist it is strong.
We're certainly not ready to hang up a mission accomplished sign, but hundreds of thousands of jobs in the private sector are being created. Real wages are up year over year. The inflation is way down and the GDP is growing.
No, inflation is actually higher than it was at the end of the Biden administration. And inflation over the past 2 months is the highest it has been in 2 years. Former Republican National Committee Chairman Michael Whatley stated that real wages are up. And that's true, but wages are not going up as quickly as consumer prices are going up. And for most Americans, even with better pay than a year ago, budgets are still being squeezed more. That's why credit card debt and other kinds of debt, including personal loans, are piling higher. And by the way, the interest rate that some banks are charging for credit card debt is 30%. That's a win for the banks, but a disaster for working people. The biggest disaster for most consumers right now is the price of gas. As of this video, the average cost for regular gas in the United States is $4.56 a gallon. That's up by $1.50 per gallon since the Trump war in Iran began.
I cut down on groceries a little bit. Yeah, because gas is just more of an expense now. I used to not think about it.
I choose not to drive as much. It's costly. So I usually take my scooter, take public transportation.
Diesel fuel used by trucks to move goods across the country now averaging nearly $5.50 a gallon. Experts say this could drive up the cost of everyday items as Americans continue to grapple with inflation. Roughly 20 million barrels of oil pass through the Strait of Hormuz every day, and with the waterway still shut down, oil hit a wartime peak Thursday of more than $126 a barrel.
If the Strait of Hormuz continues to be blocked or significantly impeded, we could see the national average pushing closer to $4.75 or even that $5 a gallon mark by Memorial Day.
$5 a gallon. A few states have already crossed that threshold, and other states are expected to hit $5 a gallon soon. And for Americans who cannot ditch driving for scooters or public transportation and cannot stomach beans instead of beef, credit cards are an option, at least in the short term. In the long term, when the bills and interest payments come due, well, for a lot of people, that's a problem for another day. In the meantime, Kevin Hassett is correct in part. Money is still flowing through the U.S. economy, but the spending and the consumption are on borrowed time. Eventually, it's going to catch up with many Americans financially. Mentally, a lot of people are already there. They are stressed out, anxious, and infuriated. And it all makes the Trump administration spin even more absurd. Did you know that the big wireless carriers like Verizon and AT&T made over $18 billion in profit last year? How? By overcharging you for unlimited data, most of which you probably aren't even using. But what if you could get paid to use your phone less and only pay for the data you do use? Well, with Noble Mobile, you can. For just $50 a month on their No Bull plan, you get unlimited data, and whatever data you don't use, you get cash back right in your pocket. People who switch to Noble can save an average of $500 to $1,000 a year. It's a no-brainer. And by switching to Noble, you're directly supporting TYT and our mission of bringing you honest, independent news. So give Noble a try and make the switch today. Scan the QR code on the screen now or visit go.tyt.com/plan. That's go.tyt.com/plan. By the way, a panel of voters on Fox News just turned against Donald Trump and the GOP. A recent panel of voters on Fox said that Trump had made their personal finances worse. An independent in the group called Trump a disappointment.
The change that I was expecting from the president himself, I don't feel in my everyday life, which is concerning to me. I still feel, obviously, that, prices are very, very, very high. If you're going to the grocery store or just in general, because inflation still exists. Unfortunately, now we have the higher gas prices, which really hurt, everyday people in their pocket.
Another independent voter on the Fox panel said the economy was the #1 issue for him and nearly everybody he's been talking to. And this voter, Dominic, said Trump's grade is clear.
A big loss for him is the economy and inflation and the cost of living, which has been a common theme here across Republicans and Democrats. The cost of living is just too expensive. It's just too expensive to live.
Check out that video at the link below. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us. Hello, everybody. David Shuster here. Thanks for watching. If you found this reporting and commentary valuable, do us a favor and tap the like button. For more content like this, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. That way you'll be notified on your YouTube homepage when we drop a new video. If you are tired of corporate spin and want honest, people-focused news, click the join button below and be part of the fight for a better future. We wouldn't be here without your support. Stay informed, stay engaged, and thanks again for joining us.